National lawyer Christopher Burkett and get your thoughts. Christopher Burkett, thank you very much for your time. So, what are your thoughts on just the enormity of this decision today?
Well, I think when you look at this case in the context in which it's occurring, both against the backdrop of the COVID-19 pandemic and the geopolitical implications for Canada, U.S., Canada-China relations, it is a dramatic moment. The hope amongst the legal community is that Justice Heather Holmes, as we would expect, will look at this case from a purely legal perspective. She'll put aside the political overtones and make a reasoned decision rooted in law and rooted in precedent.
Well, and we talked a little bit about the double criminality aspect, because that would have to be proven in order for the extradition process to continue in terms of the decision. But let me ask you about how difficult this double criminality would be to, I guess, weigh down on and research to get to that decision.
Well, I think that's going to be a difficult test for Justice Holmes. There's not a direct precedent in the sanctions space, which is where we're looking at this from. The question, and I know you've discussed the double criminality, but the real question is this a violation that's been alleged against Ms. Wanzhou that is would have been an offense in Canada, and the Crown has argued that this case is truly about fraud on a bank, fraud on HSBC, based on a presentation that Ms. Wanzhou made in 2013. Her lawyers are saying it's not rooted in fraud. It's a question of sanctions violations, U.S. Iran sanctions violations. And at the time that it occurred, Canada didn't have sanctions in place that would be necessarily similar to the ones that were in place for the United States. So the real turning point for the judge will be: is this a case about fraud on a financial institution, or is this a case about sanctions violations?
And then, Christopher, how important is it to, and we did, we heard our previous lawyer talking about this, but the importance of the independence of the Canadian judicial system, particularly on a case like this when so many are saying it's all politics.
Right. I think the Canadian justice system has shown time and time again to be independent of the political arena. We have a system based firmly in the rule of law. It's a term that is used often and sometimes overused, but really boiled down, it is that the law is the queen and not the other way around. And we have a system that we could rely on. And whether or not this goes forward with a successful outcome for Ms. Wanzhou or an unsuccessful outcome, I think the key will be to see that Justice Heather Holmes followed precedent, followed legal reasoning that would be expected of a judge in our court system. And I think most Canadians who practice law and are engaged in the legal system have every confidence that it will be made within the judicial arena, within the legal arena, and not taking into account the political issues, which are obviously significant. We've got 2 Canadians that have been detained, and many argue in retaliation for the arrest of Ms. Wanzhou, and then you have all of the other political implications.
Yeah. Okay, Christopher Burkett, thank you very much for your time.